example, the game's top-ranked ODI batsman. But the world title has always eluded this country, finding new and interesting ways of losing tight games, a habit they aim to break, starting with their group opener against the West Indies.
Pressure is a part of your daily life, you know, when you're walking through airports, the public on you, talking to you, and you're walking out to bed in front of 70,000 people. Those are things that we've pretty much learned to deal with throughout your career.
The Firoz Shah Kotla Stadium is one that's full of history. Cricket's been played here for well over 100 years, but more recently, it's all been rather quiet here. Just over a year ago, a one-day international had to be called off because the playing surface was deemed too dangerous, and subsequently the venue was banned from hosting international games. This is the first match that's been played here since that ban was lifted.
Not surprising then that everyone was taking a close look at this wicket.
From our perspective, the West Indies perspective, it's an unknown factor. I mean, it's been relayed. I think there's been a few games played on it, but still it's an unknown factor for all of us.
Unpredictable but potentially dangerous could also describe this West Indies team. Talent abounds, but temperament often lags behind.
This tournament is a very prestigious one. West Indies team in the past won the first 2 World Cups, and we know what we have to do.
A West Indies win would be a shock. It's been well over a year now since they last beat a major team in an ODI. Andy Richardson, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
And that's the sport for now.
All right, thanks very much. Well, that's it for the Al Jazeera News Hour, but we'll be back in just a few moments, bringing you all the latest from Libya and other world news. Do stay with us.
Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter. Business Latest is brought to you by Catalum, the most efficient and environmentally friendly aluminium smelter. The Golan Heights, one of the spoils of the 1967 war, home to 20,000 Israelis and source of 1/3 of all Israel's water. But what of the Syrians left behind? With families torn apart and all borders closed, they come to talk to their loved ones across the Shouting Valley. Across the Shouting Valley on Al Jazeera.
Unpopular with some at home, untested overseas. The first year has not been easy for David Cameron and his coalition government. In conjunction with U2, Al Jazeera asks your questions to the British Prime Minister. World View, an interview with David Cameron at this time on Al Jazeera.
Now there's one place to discover the whole story, aljazeera.net/English.
We bring you the story from every side and every angle. aljazeera.net/English.
Colonel Gaddafi struggles to hold on to western cities amid reports the east is in the hands of protesters. Celebrations in the city of Benghazi while the international community considers sanctions against Libya. Welcome to the News Hour. I'm Darine Abu Gaida from our news centers in Doha and Washington, bringing you extended coverage on the crisis in Libya.
I'm Nick Clark in Washington with more on the international reaction coming in.
These actions violate international norms and every standard of common decency. This violence must stop.
Barack Obama condemns the violence and sends his top diplomat to Geneva for talks on the unrest.
A Libyan general tells AlJazeera an Air Force pilot refused orders to bomb protesters in Benghazi. And Libya's former justice minister says he has evidence Gaddafi ordered the 1988 Lockerbie bombing. Well, the U.S. president has broken his silence on the crisis in Libya, using strong language to condemn the violence against pro-democracy demonstrators. Barack Obama confirmed his administration is preparing a full range of options in response to the bloodshed. But the president didn't criticize Muammar Gaddafi directly and stopped short of backing sanctions against the North African country.
The suffering and bloodshed is outrageous, and it is unacceptable. So are threats and orders to shoot peaceful protesters and further punish the people of Libya. These actions violate international norms and every standard of common decency. This violence must stop. The United States also strongly supports the universal rights of the Libyan people. That includes the rights of peaceful assembly, free speech, and the ability of the Libyan people to determine their own destiny. These are human rights. They are not negotiable. They must be respected in every country, and they cannot be denied through violence or suppression.
So that was Barack Obama speaking just a short while ago from the White House, and now we can speak to AlJazeera's Rosalind Jordan, who's in Washington. And Rosalind, it was the first time that we heard Obama speak on the situation in Libya.
It's the first time we've seen him in front of the cameras talking about the situation, the deteriorating situation, I should say, in Libya. But, Doreen, what the president did not do, as you noted, was to mention Muammar Gaddafi, the colonel who has been in charge of Libya for 42 years, by name. There is the thought that trying to personalize this conflict perhaps will take the attention away from the welfare and the safety of the Libyan people. One other point that I should share with our viewers is that the president, along with his Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, took many opportunities as they could on this Wednesday to say that their first concern at this moment is the safety of several hundred Americans who are still inside Libya. They are both calling on Americans to leave the country. Because as the Secretary of State noted earlier on Wednesday, the situation inside Libya is quite fluid. A senior administration official says that there is a lot of unpredictability, and so the feeling of the U.S. government at this point is for U.S. citizens to leave the country. That said, they are also now trying to figure out exactly what steps should be taken in order to hold Muammar Gaddafi and his leadership accountable for the apparent brutality, for the reported bloodshed, and for certainly for the wide sense of panic that is gripping the country at this hour.
Yeah, Rosalind, and he also said that he's sending his Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, who you were just mentioning, to Geneva. That's on Monday for talks. What do we think will happen there, and how much leverage